Hello, welcome to our channel. Well, welcome to Peaceful Rebellion.
And welcome to Alternative Interactions.
Super. So we're here at Gordon and Gary. How are you doing, Gary?
Oh, I'm doing great, buddy. How are you? How are you?
Really well. I couldn't be better, to be honest. Couldn't be
Yeah,
better.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Exciting times. Things are happening, and it's yeah, it's. I'm feeling really, really chilled and relaxed, almost horizontal at the moment over stuff, which is really strange considering the climate we're kind of in at the moment, isn't it?
Let me ask you a question because I'm in the same place. I feel like the energies have settled down compared to where they were. Because if I go back a few weeks, I was all over the place. I didn't know where I was. I was feeling really quite panicky and stuff like that. And now it's just all settled down.
Yeah.
I know the emissaries have explained that we're in a different phase now. But how have you seen it?
Exactly the same. I was getting quite titchy over things that I would never ever get titchy over. Um, my emotions were up and down like a
Mm,
yo-yo. Not in a stressy or fear way. Just I couldn't. I mean, like you, Gordon. You and I both continuously looking at ourselves, aren't we? Doing the internal work.
mhm.
It's an ongoing process. And so when something like this comes up, I then sit back and go, what's going on? What's going on? Why am I feeling this way? And it was actually a friend of mine who said, Gary, you're more intuitive than you've ever been in your life. And you're picking up on the energy of the people around you. And by people, I'm talking about not necessarily those that do the research or in our position. I'm talking about the general public here.
Sure.
And as the general public are raising their frequency and their anxiety rates were coming through, I was picking up on it. And,
Mm.
and I should imagine it was what you were feeling it as well, because it's a worldwide phenomenon, and quantum entanglement means that everybody's connected simultaneously at the same time, which is how the 100 monkey syndrome works.
Mhm.
You, monkeys on an island that's got no attachment to another island start washing their sweet potatoes, and a few weeks later, the monkeys on the other island start doing exactly the same. They've never met, there's
Exactly.
no contact, and yet the entanglement of the connection of the collective consciousness of the monkeys and us would mean that it's exactly the same kind of thing. So yeah, I was really, it's a long-winded way of saying it, isn't it? But I was feeling it big style, and
Sure, yeah.
but calmer now, much calmer now.
Much calmer now. And but I think as well, when the emissaries were talking about the fact that we get waves of energy because those waves create change because we're in this plan. It's not a static plan. It's a we're in flux all of the time. And they said the big wave came and brought everything into place that needs to be in place for the next stage of this great awakening. I mean, the emissaries have only ever talked about the great awakening. That's their focus. Where are we? How are we doing? And they all just keep repeating everything is as it should be, everything. So, which brings me to a question. Well, first question I wanted to ask you something, Gary. What are you looking at lately? Where's your focus?
Um, I was actually looking at an entity or a god, an old god called Janus,
Yeah.
and that actually led me to the Fibonacci sequence
Hmm.
and the fact that it's not good. And it led me down a real big rabbit hole, but it also connected me to um, connecting the double slit experiment interference pattern. And again, if you want to see this kind of stuff, you have to go on my channel. It's too long-winded. I could spend an hour explaining it, and you still
Sure.
wouldn't understand it because you've got no images.
Yeah.
You go to my channel, that there's videos on it. But fundamentally, I put together that the double slit experiment has an interference pattern. And that interference pattern is the same regardless of whoever's done that experiment. So the first experiment was done in 1801,
Hmm.
and to this day, the interference pattern is identical, doesn't ever change. And we have something called the Fibonacci sequence, which is meant to be the flower of life, creational energy. And when you overlay it, it doesn't fit at all.
Okay.
And we have a secondary energy or system looks exactly the same as the Fibonacci to the naked eye. When you overlay them, you can see a difference, but it's very subtle. And this is called the Christ code
Hmm.
or the Christ consciousness. Okay, but it's a K, not a C, it's a K. An inversion of, pushing things on and changing language. Doesn't matter. It's Christ code or Christ consciousness, which is the creational energy of this realm. Now, this is called the lotus of life flower. And when you cut that lotus of life flower in half and overlay it on top of the frequency or the interference pattern of the double slit, it fits perfectly like a
Okay.
glove,
Hmm.
which is quite okay. I've also had this theory about toroidal fields. We're in a consciousness of a toroidal field of energy or consciousness, the
Hmm.
electromagnetic realm of what is in this reality, which is a matrix. But it's actually a toroidal field of consciousness. We have toroidal fields in us, which is our heart creates a toroidal field, which is why during the 2020s, we weren't allowed to stand too close to anybody because they wanted to separate our toroidal fields from interacting with each other and exchanging knowledge subconsciously. Um, and just recently, I've realized that when you look at a toroidal field from the top, like from the crown of your head, rather than like it's coming out like this around us, if you look at the top of it and observe the pattern that the toroidal field makes of the human being, of the tree, of the grass, of the realm, it is in fact lotus of life, which is the crystalline code interference pattern. So it's all
Well,
the same. But the
okay.
Fibonacci sequence doesn't fit any of that. And
Okay. You know,
so,
you know what makes me think, Gary, what makes me think, yeah, and I'm sure you'll have seen it. You know that in the back end of the 20th, the front end of the 20th century, they changed the frequency of music from 432,
yeah,
yeah, up to 440. And so they created a dissonance in music.
yes,
And so it looks and sounds the same, but if you put them side by side, they're not the same.
yeah,
The same thing seems to be, if the Fibonacci and then the lotus flower, they look the same, but if you put them together, they're not. It's like this, the way that I perceive the work of if we want to say the devil, whatever that is,
yeah,
bad,
yeah,
so whatever is distorting, perverting the natural, the godlike, and making it unnatural and ungodlike. And it just
yes,
sounds like it's a very similar thing. Let's give them
exactly.
something that's nearly the same, but not.
Yes. And let's pay people throughout the centuries to to continue to push this inversion onto people. So the last time we had a big push on this was the New Age movement.
Hmm.
And that's why everything you look at, like the guided meditations of the Merkaba, yeah? Well, the Merkaba is actually Fibonacci.
Okay.
And so when you do a Merkaba guided meditation, part of your energy is going to the demonic, whether you realize it or not. It's sitting
Okay.
there like a little parasite going, feed me, feed me, feed me, you know. And when you start looking at all this, like the sacred geometry, none of it's sacred at all. None of the sacred geometry is sacred because it all comes off the Fibonacci sequence.
Okay. Mm.
But there's similarities to things that would have been in the past, which would have been good. Um, I just looked at again in my research and going back to 3000 BC in the Canaanite era, they had what we would now known as the Star of David,
Mm.
but it's actually the Star of Rembrandt or Rembrandt. Okay, and inside this, there's a carved relief in stone from 3000 BC.
Hmm.
Okay, and you've got the Star of David shape, and I'm just saying that so the audience can visualize what I'm
Visualize
talking
it. Yeah.
about. You know. And inside the middle of that is a flower, and it's a six-petaled flower. And the only six-petaled flower is the Fibonacci sequence, which is the Daisy of Death. And if you look into the entities that this was being used for and the darker side of this, it comes up with um, entities that have horns. Okay, I'll leave it that way. Okay,
Okay.
you know, the bull type stuff, and so there it is, 3000 BC. They're showing you within this, you know, sacred geometry, the Fibonacci sequence, which they were then using as an inversion on that. So for 3000, and I've got, and so I can go all the way back to 3000 BC and show what I'm showing is correct, which is quite mad, isn't it? When you can
Mm.
start putting, you know, um, and again with the Anunnaki. Um, I don't know if any of you guys saw, but I did a show on Sunday with Richard Cardinal. We call it Rocking Pandora's Box. It's number 25. And the last third of that, or last quarter of that, we had Max, the Crystal Skull, came in, and Richard was able to channel him literally live on air. I mean, we're I'm like you, Richard. Sorry, Gordon. We hit record and we just go, don't we?
Sure.
You know, and so Richard and I, we hit record, and whatever happens and comes from a very, very loose, if anything, kind of structure comes. You know, it's just like we're guided and it comes. And Max, the head Crystal Skull, came in. And we were able to channel him, and I was able to ask him some very interesting questions, particularly about the Anunnaki, or the 200 Watchers, or the 200 Fallen Angels, as they're called.
Hmm.
And they were not corrupted, but their children were. Okay. And I was interested in Enki,
Uh-huh.
because I've found a tablet, again, a carved piece of stone, with Enki, with his trusted advisor Ishmad, or Ishmud. And Ishmud is Janus, the two-faced god, in physical form, corrupting that part of the Anunnaki into the Fibonacci sequence, because Janus is the Fibonacci sequence fundamentally. And so it's like, oh my God. So I've got a 3000 BC image of what connects to it. And at 2300 BC, I've got a relief showing this 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 inversion in its physical form as the key advisor to one of the key people who was potentially involved in our genetic changes into making us as we are today.
Sure. Mm.
So you know, so but I've actually been told by my higher self to stop looking at that now. So I haven't looked at it for a couple of weeks, to be fair. I've
Okay.
taken a step back. You know, you always listen to your higher self, your guides, and you know, and so I haven't looked at any of that since. Particularly,
Yeah.
obviously, the double slit and stuff like that. I find it fascinating, and
For
it's
sure.
not dark in any way. But the darker side of what I was looking at, I'm not looking at anymore. That's it.
Okay. Okay.
You know.
Yeah. You know because you've talked about it a lot, and there's something I wanted to bring up. Oh yeah. So when I first started on my waking up journey, obviously you devour everything, don't you? You just video after video. And I remember seeing this quite, I think it maybe from the 80s, this guy, scientist, who was talking about the speeding up as we were coming toward the end. Okay.
Yeah.
But he wasn't talking about it in a, oh, we're speeding up, and it's because no, he was showing this process, scientific process of why. It was really interesting. And what he was saying was that for every period that we're going to a new periods, it's double the speed and then double the speed. And he said, so we're getting to the top where it's so fast that we can't keep up anymore.
Yeah.
It's finished. We're on overload. And then he was talking about it in terms of the toroidal, because you mentioned this toroidal energy, and he was saying that our process through the timeline, whatever you want to call it,
Yeah.
is the process of following the shape of the toroidal. when we're on the outside, everything's nice and slow and very nice. And then we come and we start going down the center and it speeds up. And what he was saying is, this is where we are.
Yeah,
Going down the center of the toroidal energy is like, I suppose, in the, in a fun park or whatever, you're going down the slide, down the roller coaster, like,
yeah,
wow.
yeah,
Yeah. So I was just talking to my wife about this, that the speeding up. And I know that as you get older, everyone goes, oh, yes, time goes faster and all that. But no, everybody's talking about it speeding up. Even my son, who's 12, 13, is going, I can't believe half of the year's gone already. Where did that go?
yeah.
So, and there's an expression that the witnesses use, which he will speed it up toward the end. So, what's your take on this speeding up? What do you think? I mean, do you feel that it's true? Are you
Oh
seeing it?
yeah, yeah, 100%, 100%. I mean, I've not watched what that scientist said, but as you said, it was just like, yeah, he's absolutely correct,
Mhm.
absolutely correct. Um, on one of my videos, I've got a toroidal field, and I show the toroidal field. Okay, if you can imagine an apple, you cut the apple in half, you've got the seeded bit, and as Gordon was saying, you've got the outer bit of the skin. You're following the skin, okay? So you've been birthed, okay, from the flower bit that's left. You've come round, you're going up, and we're now coming back down again into that bit, yeah. And as you say, time isn't linear. We've been told a big fat lie. Time isn't linear. There is only the now, and our brains have the perception of the future and the past, but there is only the now moment. Um, and when you look at this toroidal field from a certain angle, it actually is a spiral.
Mhm.
So if you can imagine you're in hospital and you've got a heart monitor on, and the heart monitor's going beep, 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 and you just see the up and down. That's all you see. But actually, our heart is a toroidal field and it's going in a circle. But a screen can't show you the circle, it can only show you the up and down. So that's why you see up and down.
Mhm.
But actually, if you took a step back, you would see a corkscrew going on. And all that bip's doing is as the corkscrew goes to the top, it goes bip, and as it goes to the bottom, it goes bip. And so so as it's going circular, you're going the up and down, up and down. That's what you're seeing. Now, when you actually look at a toroidal field and put this principle into it, it's not only doing that, it's also doing this. It's like a tornado. And when you look at it at the right angle, you can see the infinity eight inside it. So you get the eight, the cross, it's this kind of a pattern. And as we get closer to the center of the infinity eight, time as our perception will increase because there's less width gap. So it's narrowing and narrowing and narrowing and narrowing until they get to the pinch point. And at the pinch point, when we're close to it now, is when we get the opportunity to ascend out of here or we decide to stay here,
Okay.
fundamentally. Yeah. And that's where we are now. We're at that crossover point of the infinity eight. So how can I put this? We will perceive time as much quicker. Now, in the past, if you take somebody like Noah, for instance, yeah, Noah at the time of the Great Flood was 600 years old.
Hmm.
Yeah, Bible says that, I believe.
Sure.
And he lived on from there and probably died at what was it, 800-ish? I
It
can't
was
remember.
back end of, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, eight
Around
hundred and
2000.
something. Yeah, yeah, nearly 1,000 years old. If you take the infinity symbol at its fattest point, that's where Noah was. And as we've gone down that narrowing, our lifetime period expectation has dropped. And so that's why we only live to 80 to 100 years and not 1,000 years anymore.
Sure. Mm.
because that. But also, there's another way that we can show this, which is a bit strange as well. It's by the sun. Now, when we were kids, Gordon, our sun was a orangey yellow color, wasn't it?
Hmm.
And it's white now, isn't it?
Yeah,
Totally different frequency. And white is a faster frequency.
sure. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
So if you take it potentially when Noah was about, they could have had a completely different coloured in the red spectrum sun because it was a slower vibrational frequency because it was wider on the infinity and so it was just doing that. And now we're here, we're like this.
sure. I feel a bit like that sometimes.
Yeah, yeah, me too.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's my understanding how I can see it in scientific mathematical kind of concepts of light emits energy, that energy frequency vibrates at a different frequency and so will affect us. And that's how we get affected by astrology and the planets, where a planet's light or luminary will be brighter, and so that brightness will have a bigger effect on us. And when that luminary is in retrograde, it's not direct, it's in retrograde, that light is less and another luminary is brighter, and so that will then have another effect on us.
Okay. Yeah.
Same
All right.
principles.
Hmm. So, I mean, speeding up, I'm not a great fan because, I'm in the second half of my life now. I don't want it to go too quickly. Uh, It's going like too, no, I've worked hard to get to you. Don't make it go too quickly. But anyway, we'll see. So listen, just talking about um, what's coming, right? So I'll give you kind of an overview of what the emissaries have always said right from the beginning. So we're coming, we're in the Great Awakening. It's happening, very beautiful. We're going to come to a point where there's going to be a split off. Okay.
Yeah.
An energetic split off, whatever you want to call it, but those who want to stay, stay, and those who are ready to go, go.
Yes.
And it's the choice is not so much I want to go, it's what we do now to put ourselves in a position to have the energy, the right frequency to go.
Yes.
It's a work. This is what the emissaries, honestly, that I don't talk about half the time that they mention it because I just think it would be getting really boring. But they just keep saying the work is inside, the work is within. You must go within. That's a fundamental job to go within, sort yourself out, sort your shit out. They don't say that. I do. Sort your shit out so that you're ready to return to God, whatever that means. So they talk about this split off. And I've asked them about it. I'd like to know your take on it, but I've asked them about it, about how it would work, the mechanics of it. Now they don't really get into mechanics. It's not their vibe, it's not their job. But what they say is that it will happen in such a way, the split off, it will happen in such a way it will seem completely natural
Yeah.
that it won't be perceived in the way that we might imagine. That it won't be the rapture where they're coming way, we're lifted up, bye bye,
Yeah. Yeah.
suckers.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah. Yeah.
it's not. You keep your masks on if you want, but they said it's going to happen in such a natural way that we won't perceive it, and it'll only be later on when we look back in retrospect that we go, oh wow, it happened.
Yeah.
It happened. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and they give me some examples of things like, people just leaving our life, people moving away from our life, leaving in different ways, like physically leaving this existence or whatever. So they said it isn't something that's going to be a wham. It's almost like a gradual thing. That's what they said. What's your feeling on it, where we're going and how it might pan out?
Well, I think you just described it perfectly. I really do. We live in a matrix, okay? So the toroidal field of consciousness is actually fundamental. If you watch the film The Matrix, okay,
A documentary.
the documentary The Matrix, yes, very much so. I mean, I don't think they ever expected The Matrix to be such a big hit, so they made a couple of others afterwards, which were quite pants, really, compared to the true first one. And
Yeah.
you've got to remember as well that The Matrix is the follow-on from The Terminator.
Yes. Yeah, I read it. The lady who wrote the whole story she was writing about, a very spiritual lady, yeah.
Yeah, 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 because they stole the story off her,
Hmm.
did it, and then she had to take them to court, and she eventually won and got pennies and what she should have got from the royalties of the films and everything. Again, you know, but the Terminator and Skynet is the prequel to the Matrix,
Mm.
which a lot of people don't realize that. I mean, it's like, oh my God, and it makes so much sense. So in the Matrix, you have, how can I put this? You have source players.
Hmm.
Okay, let's think of this as a game. Okay, we are source players. I mean, I can't imagine anybody of your audience who's watching this, or my audience who will watch this, will not be a source player,
For sure.
because they won't be out. They will watch this and think, "What a load of tosh they're speaking." They're completely mad, insane. Jog on, okay? Well, they're not source players. They're the fill-ins of the player of the game to make the game seem realistic. Now, believe it or not, there is a very strong theory. I think Honey C. Golden speaks about this, or has spoken about this, and it fully resonates with me as well. That we actually create those people around us.
Okay.
So there's only X amount of source players in this realm, and the source players are there to level up to get out into the next level, which would be our ascension, from 3D to 5D, whichever way language you want to play, it doesn't matter, to go up to God, or to raise up towards the creator is the words I prefer, but it's all the same thing. It's all the same energy. Now, we create the realm around us to give it realisticness.
Hmm.
So if you think about in the Matrix when they did the Red Woman scene, they're walking through this really, and they're getting knocked and bumped by the people going to work. And there's this red woman, and it like Neil's like, oh wow, and then suddenly there's guns pointed at his hair, and you've got the Mr. Smith.
Yeah.
Um, Obviously not you, but
Different
you
one.
have, yeah, but you have the Mr. Smith effect coming in. But none of those people going to work were real. None of that was real. The only people within that were real was Morpheus and Neo,
Mm-hmm.
and everything else had been created around them to create the illusion of reality. And this is exactly what we do. So most of I mean, we've probably even married or gone out with, or our best friends have at times been non-source player characters, and we have subconsciously, and this is a big one, we have subconsciously invented them, created them to enable our reality to seem real, to have that experience that that person then created for us. Whether the relationship was always meant to, be doomed, whether they were our soulmate, or whether they were a friend that had to take us to a different level to then take us on to something else, to something else, to something else. It was stepping stones of enlightenment as we come through this journey.
Mm-hmm.
And so we do create those around us. And so that's where I think the term NPCs comes,
Sure.
non-player characters.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
we create a lot of the non-player characters
Mm.
into our reality. Because if you can imagine you're playing a computer game, you're the one controlling the main character. Well, the computer game isn't empty. There's people walking around and there's other cars driving around. Think the Truman Show.
Mm-hmm.
The Truman Show is another very, probably slightly softer, easier to digest version of the Matrix, where you had Truman, you had a handful of main actors, and then everybody else was a bit player.
Sure.
And you had somebody up top controlling the whole game,
Mm.
until Truman got the enlightenment, realized that he was being played, got the aha moment, went across the water and got out via the 5D. And so, as you say, Gordon, what we're going to see is that the people around us that we have created will drift away out of our consciousness, and to the point in which suddenly there are either less people or we're in a completely different environment that's taken, a little while, like 2 3 years later, suddenly like, Jesus, well, there's only Gordon here and there's only some, where is everybody else?
Sure, sure. Yeah. And that's what the emissary said. Even each person that drifts off will have a narrative, a story of why they've gone. So it won't even be, oh my God, where have these people? It'd be like, oh yeah, well, they went and they went there and they went
Yeah,
there,
yeah.
they died, they
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah, Gordon, he moved to bloody South Africa. Can you believe
Exactly.
it? And
Yeah.
he's now a farmer on the land in South Africa, and that would be the end of the
Yeah.
story.
Doesn't
And
go,
everybody who
doesn't write.
stays,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
The when you were talking, I was thinking there's such a lot of parallels in what you're saying and what the emissaries are talking about because I was asking them about uh I've been doing a series and it's still got 2 videos to publish of the biases that we have and the basically the filters we filter and we have biases and we filter all information that comes to us so that we do not have the capacity to understand the truth. No, we don't have the capacity to actually see reality. Even right, if you imagine the reality, we've created reality around us, and there are lots of there's an interesting guy, I can't remember his name now, who talks about duality and singularity and how everything around us is created by us
yeah,
with the intention of us discovering that we created it and therefore we can then get out of it. Yeah.
correct.
So I was asking the emissaries about these. I mean, if you get a list of the biases and the filters that we have, it's endless. I mean, I watched one guy who was talking about this, which I thought was fascinating. And he said, in the studies, it's shown that of the 100% information that comes into us, 80% of that information is filtered, is adjusted, and invented. So there's only 20% of what we actually perceive as has anything to do with reality. The rest is just, we've just filtered it out or biased it out or whatever. And so I said to the emissaries, why? That's unfair. We're like coming in blindfolded into this existence of like, we've got so many biases. How are we ever going to see or be able to walk forward? And they said, that's the whole point.
Yes,
And they said, because if you were to come here with the perception that and the mental acuity or the acuity that we have on the other side, let's say, for example, whatever that is on the other side, we would come here and we would just say, well, that's not real. That's not real. I'm calling bullshit. That's a load of
yeah, yeah,
rubbish.
yeah,
That
yeah,
doesn't exist. This is not.
yeah.
And they said there would be no point in coming
No,
because the whole idea is that we come here blind and then through our life, we feel around and we start discovering what's around us, and then the scales fall from our eyes.
yes,
Then the purpose of our life here is to overcome and to drop these biases and to drop these filters until at the end, even though we know we're never going to drop them all, but we can drop a lot of them.
yeah.
So that was the idea. But there's something I wanted to bring up based on that because there's a big push to promote what's called the prison planet. And and David Icke's been. I mean, I love David Icke. I've interviewed him, and then it got taken down from
No
YouTube.
way.
Yeah,
What a
yeah,
shock.
honestly. And I got a strike. But he's done a book on Prison Planet, and what he's saying is that this we didn't come here by choice. We were forced to come here and were tricked into a never-ending loop. And when we go to the other side, they say go to the light. Don't go to the light because you go to the light, you get trapped. Okay, so my feel on this and what the emissaries have said on this is I said, is that true? Is this a prison planet? And they said, not as far as we know, it's not. And they said it, but isn't it just the way? Like the baddies, they don't just want to take the joy out of this life for us, but they want to take it out of the next one as well. It's like, not only are you going to be shit scared of being in this world, you're going to be worried about going to the other side as well. It's like take all the joy out of everything.
Yeah.
So my gut feel is that this isn't a prison planet. This is we are fully and 100% invested in this. We've chosen to do this. That's my take. What do you think?
I think the majority of us are source players, are here for our own because we want to be.
Mm,
Quantum businessman puts it in a really, really clever way. He says this is the ultimate game in the galaxy. Okay, this is the god level, or this is this is like you don't get into this realm as a source player unless you are something special.
hmm
But you come in forgetting all of that
True.
because otherwise, like you said, it'd be pointless.
Yeah.
So we come into this realm as the best, most equipped players in the world, in the universe, in fact. And the entire universe, it's a bit like the Truman Show again. It's like the Truman Show was the most watched program in the world. And it showed people in their bar they were literally glued to it all the time.
Yeah.
Well, that's exactly what's going on in the universe of the collective consciousness of all the different toroidal fields that all connected into the cosmic donor of creation, the thought. Everything is watching us, going, "Oh my God, this is the best show in the universe," and these guys are rock stars. And can you believe they've done this? Can you believe that? Can you believe they've got over the loss of this? Can you believe the love they've found? It's all these experiences because fundamentally we are immortal beings. We can't die. There is no fear of death. And so the only way you can spiritually grow is to have that blindfold stuck on your face, shoved into the game, and remember nothing.
True.
You're still at your higher self. So you're still being the game player of you is still above you as your higher self. That's your connection. That's why you always trust your higher self. But inside you is everything you need.
hmm
And you've just got to learn to stop externalizing your power to third party entities, go within, do the work, connect to your higher self, and bingo, you're out of there. And it's very simple. I see it as a very simple, it's not complex.
True.
But doing that is complex because they make the rules of the game very, very tricky. Or they have all these externalizations saying, oh, you got to do this, you got to do that. You can't do this, you can't do that. Well, there is no you've got to, and there is no you can't do that because you're in charge. You're in control of your own game. You know, what's the easiest way to um, stop a regime? It's just to not to comply.
hmm
You know, and that's it. So at the point in which you do not comply to the externalization of this realm, you're then a completely different player to everybody else. And the rules change in your favor. You know, a bit like the Hunger Games. May the rules change to your favor, or whatever the guy said, you know. But, you know, and that's what it is. And it's learning these things and bringing it in and understanding how it works. So, yeah, I mean, this is not a prison planet. This is
No.
a game. This is the ultimate game. But if you fail, you stay in the game until you learn. And that may mean that you're reborn with a DNA memory or a water memory of what you've done before, so that when you get to a certain level, you're given these upgrades almost like, you know, like on these shooting up games is once you've shot like 10 barrels, you suddenly get an extra big gun. And well, that's exactly the same principle. As once you get to a certain level, all of a sudden something else comes in. And then you get used to that. And then all of a sudden you do something else and something else comes in. So if we look at you, Gordon, you were born, you've had a bit of a life, done all the normie things, enjoyed yourself, done all the partying, all the bits and pieces that go with the partying, and you've got to a stage where ayahuasca came to you, you did something, and then all of a sudden you leveled up to a level where the emiracies came in to you, and you've leveled up to that level.
Mm.
I've leveled up to that level myself, you know, not the same story, but the same kind of way we've done it. And my higher self has come in really strong, and I get knowings or inklings or whatever it is. And so I've got the cheat sheet.
Mm.
You've got the cheat sheet. They won't tell you what to do. They won't give you all the answers. They'll just give you cryptic clues, and it's okay. Keep going, keep going. It'll be all right, and trust the plan. You know, but it's not trust the plan as the externalization plan. It's trust your plan.
Sure. Absolutely. Yeah.
So
Agree. I
yeah,
agree. So it's interesting what you were saying because I've had numerous conversations with the emissaries about this, about Earth, this game that we're in, and that they say that this is the high level game. This is the tough one. Because I said, what they say is this. Because they always talk in terms of frequency, energy, vibration. That's all. Everything's measured in that terms for them. They said when you end this existence, whatever frequency you've achieved, when you come back, if you want to come back, if you choose to Earth,
yeah,
then you're going to bring that frequency with you. And so so it's kind of like your upward spiral.
yeah,
And they said, so obviously, if you've done a shit job, if you've gone, what that's what you've got to bring back. And that's this idea of this karmic law, which is the frequency that you've achieved is the one that you're gonna have to come back with, mate, whether
yeah,
it's good or bad. So they talk about that. They said to me, you don't have to come back to Earth. Earth's like it's like when you choose your video game, you can choose like beginner, intermediate, or advanced, or like mad or whatever. They're saying that the Earth's the mad one. It's
yeah,
like top
yeah,
top of the shop. And they, like you were just saying, they often have said, and I often see them all hanging over a balcony, watching with scarves and those things that you spin at the football, like applauding us
yeah,
for the work. They said we are your fans. They said, and in fact, we're envious of the experience that you're having because although we live vicariously through that, but what we experience here is nothing compared to what you're experiencing there. So they said we admire you and we're envious of you just
yeah,
because you've chosen to. They say that lots of them have already done the Earth experience, not all of them, but they said if you want to break, you can go somewhere nice. They said you can choose because I've done past life regressions with people, and it's only in the latter part. Everybody used to go to past lives on the Earth, and then suddenly it started where they would have a past life on another planet or another uh, star system or whatever, and they're always really nice.
yeah,
They're always really nice, like la la la, and we're all there, and we're beautiful, and everybody's happy and everything. And the emissaries were saying that you can have a break. You can go and have something nice. But they said in terms of increasing your frequency and your energy, that doesn't do it like it does come into Earth. This is fast track. Earth is fast track. That's what it says. So it just ties in pretty much with what you were saying as well.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Exactly the way I see it. And I mean, I've got a fishing. I love my fishing. Okay, and I like to fish really hard lakes. And by hard, I mean low stock density. One or two bites a year from the fish you're after catching is about what you can expect if you're doing a good job. Yeah.
Okay.
And you can go a year or two without catching anything. Okay. So that's Earth. But
Yeah.
every now and again, you think, oh my God, I just want to see if my buzzer does actually work and if I can catch a fish. And you go to a nice, easy pond and you go there and you catch 7 or 8 fish in a day, have a lot of fun. And you go, yeah, that's enough. Now back to the hard level.
Yeah.
And that is exactly what you just described as my analogy on fishing. It's exactly the same. And we do it in life as well, subconsciously. at certain times we'll take an easy route and we'll take our feet off the pedal for a month, a year, a couple of years, and then we'll get back on it again because we need the soul or our higher self. We've decided, hang on a minute, time out, time out, time out. We just need a time out. We need a breather on this one, please.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and I think we've all been through that where you go, well, I just need to take a step back, sit, like a tactical retreat,
Yeah,
just for a
yeah,
moment until you sort yourself out. Listen, I want to ask you because I'm aware of the time, but I want to ask you a question. We're talking about NPCs, these non-player characters. The only thing that the emissaries ever give me, they won't give me time frames. They won't get, they say, we're in the last days, it's soon or whatever, but soon for them, God knows what that could mean, you know, God knows. Uh, but they will give me percentages every now and again. Right? And I think it's just they go, oh, we'll give them some percentages, to
throw
shut,
him a bone,
to
throw him a
shut,
bone.
exactly, to
Yeah,
shut them up. So I asked them about, uh, the people, I mean, I don't for a moment believe that there are 8 billion people on this earth. It's a complete another fallacy that's been uh, sold to us. Anyway, but I said, as a percentage, like, what's the percentage of people that are not going to wake up, that are going to stay, and that will never ever wake up, and really they're NPCs. And they said more or less 30% of the people are non-movers. Because they were describing that, and it's basically in the social sciences. There's a group of 30%, about 33% of the population that follow the loudest voice. They just follow what everybody else does. There's a 30% of the people that are the NPCs that just do nothing. And then there's this other 30% of the rebels, the ones who will always do their own thing. But they tend to be the minority because the 60% always, they do because they've got the media behind them, they've got all the voices. This is what you have to do. And so the vast majority will always do that. What they're saying in the Great Awakening is that that middle 30% is starting to shift. Yeah. And so they're saying we're at about 40% of people who are in this process of Great Awakening, in the process, but not through it. Then you've got this middle group now is getting smaller, and then you've got the 30%. What they're saying is that the 40% of us, we're getting louder. Our voices are getting louder. And so that this smaller group is starting to say, hang on a minute, why are they making so much noise? Why? I mean, if you look at the alternative media now, people like whatever you might think of them, but Tucker Carlson, Candace Owen, if you look at their views now, they're in the millions now.
yeah, going through the roof.
Joe Rogan, millions. And these are people who are now becoming alternative. So the voice is getting louder. So that was the kind of the percentage that they give me, that we're about 40% in the process of waking up. But they said some of them are right at the beginning, which brings me back to when you were saying picking up on the energies of people. When people start waking up, that's when they're the most agitated because it's bad news. This is the worst thing that could possibly ever happen to them. And so I think that's why we get these waves of people going, oh my God, what the hell is going on?
Yeah,
So I think so that's it. 40, 20, 30 will never, ever, ever shift. What's your feel on that? How does that feel to you?
yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm not sure if there's going to be much more than 30% or 40% actually get out and
Right.
go. Okay. Um, I think a lot of the population figures are complete bunkum, and they just pulled a figure out of the air and doubled it. You know?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, I saw a bloke about a year or two ago, and he had worked out the population of India, and it was a lot less than they said. You know, it was a lot less. I think almost half of what they said, and he could prove it. Because he'd taken every single city, every single town, and then he'd taken
Which is where the vast majority of people live, the cities. They don't live in the country or the
no,
very
no,
small. Yeah.
no, and that gives us a wrong perception because when you think about we're overcrowded, they take you to a city straight away and show you an overcrowded city, or they'll show you the train terminal where millions of people go through every day to get to and from work and to travel around India. And there's millions of people, there's people sitting on trains. Oh my God, look how many there are. But if you flew over India, I reckon 90% of India has got 5 or 6 people in it
Sure.
because they're the farmers, small little hamlets of people, and
Absolutely.
you, so
Fly
so
over the UK. Fly over the UK and look down. All you see is green grass.
yeah, fields, and then you see a city or a big town, and then there's greenery.
Yeah.
And again, if you, I mean, I flew to Thailand once, and it's a night flight, and I just love it. So I've got my head, I've actually walked to the back of the plane where the actual door is. I've opened the shut, not the door, but the actual glass,
Thank
window.
God.
Yeah, yeah. And I'm sitting there, and we're flying over. I think it was Russia at the time, and there was a little bit of light from a town, and then nothing, and then suddenly you get this glint of water coming up, and then you suddenly get another little light and another little light. But the amount of traveling we did with no lights was just like, hang on a minute, something's going on here. You know what I mean? It just
Yeah, yeah.
just didn't work out. So yeah, but I think we're probably going to get 40% at the most that leave
Mm,
at the most. I think. But what we are going through at the moment is another one of those mass awakenings.
mm,
Because I think when you and I were then at the beginning of the show saying we felt all this energy and oh my God, what we're feeling is that big mass of energy coming off these people that are just suddenly waking up, and it's the cognitive dissonance and the Stockholm syndrome clashing and thinking these bastards have lied to us. It's not what we think. We don't know what it is, but it ain't what we think it is. And oh my God, what's going on? And then they hit the internet, like you say, they find Candace Owen or they find Tucker Carlson and so on. And these guys are fundamentally talking mostly truths,
sure.
you know, and they're latching onto this and they're suddenly hearing things for the first time. And I think that's not right. So say they listen to Candace Owens, they then go to Tucker Carlson, and he's saying the same thing, or one of his guests is saying the same thing. So that can't be right. They're getting angry. So they then go to, Joe Rogan or Fred Blogs or whoever it is, the next big star that's pumped up there, and they're looking at this and they're going, how can 3, 4, 5, 6 people be saying the same? Why have I never known this? What? And then they look at us, their friends, who have been telling them for donkey's years, and like we just don't bother anymore. Well, why didn't you tell me? Well, we did. We tried to. You weren't having it. No, you just weren't firm enough. You weren't. And this is the anger. This is the frustration.
Sure.
And
Yeah.
we're feeling that at the moment. But the thing is, this Mars retrograde that we're now coming out of near the end of. I think it finishes the 10th, 11th. This was always a portal.
Mm,
I saw this as a portal. We've got the 8-8 Lions Gate, and this 8-8 Lions Gate is the divine masculine coming on for line. So it's taken a very long time for the divine feminine to heal from what's been done to it by the Fibonacci, that third party system, the externalization of your power, people, you know, how can I put this? Organized religion, perhaps,
mhm.
that kind of cultish, big cultish type thing, where I mean, the Vatican's called the Vatican because it's named after Vatica, which is the goddess of the underworld, and the Vatican symbol is crossed keys,
Mhm.
and the crossed keys are actually Janus, who is the Fibonacci sequence.
Sure.
Okay, so, and I'm not going to go any deeper than that, but people want to research, they can research, but I'm just saying that there's certain symbologies and certain names that relate to things that don't are incongruent to what is actually shown to us. And
Mm,
this incongruence is now what these people are feeling. Now we've got the 8-8 Lionsgate coming in now, and the 8-8 Lionsgate is masculine energy. Now, my breakdown of people who follow me has actually changed slightly. It was 90% women and 10% men. I imagine you're the same.
Yes.
I'm now at 12% men and 88% women. So I've gained 2% in male in a very short time. And
Yeah.
we've got this 8-8 portal coming in. And it might be worth you looking at this, Gordon, to see the amount of male to female
I will.
ratio
I will.
that's
I'll
going to
take a look.
change now. Because I think for us, they give us these tools to observe these things, and we don't always see them for what they are.
Sure.
But we're now going through the 8-8 portal, and the divine masculine is now coming online. And that's a big problem for them.
God knows we need a bit of divine masculine.
We do. But it's, I mean, I'm getting goosebumps on this flesh of the goose, as we would say. We're now getting to that stage where the divine masculine is about to come online. And the divine feminine takes a long time. It's a slow burner. Men are the lightning fuse. They've got a very short fuse. Once that fuse is lit, you hit the TNT very, very quickly. And we're now in that stage coming up for this next month where we're going to get this big build up of divine masculine. The fuse is going to get lit, and there's going to be major changes coming in, is what
Mm.
I see it. And this is part of the Great Awakening. This is the part of the nothing can stop what's happening. And it doesn't matter what stupid rules, what thought laws that the governments come up with, they are not going to stop what's coming.
Mm. Yeah.
I've
Well,
seen this. My friends are seeing this. It's becoming the energy is beyond deniable. You know.
yeah. Yeah, and that's what I'm always told by the chemistry. The plan that's set in place cannot be stopped. And they always say, and it's not the Q thing because the Q thing,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
but they use the same terminology, but they're not talking about the plan here. They're
no,
talking about the plan up
yeah,
there.
yeah, yeah.
Just be aware that there's a plan, and it's always going to happen, and there's no turning back. So, but
Because
listen, on that note, because that was a beautiful way of ending,
yeah, it was,
then
it was.
nothing's going to stop this. Why don't we bring our conversation to an end, and then we'll have another one? Because the
Well,
sense I get is we could talk for, as you said, 2 or 3 hours.
perhaps the next one would be as the continuation of this one, if the audience fancies it, is the next stage is the plan that you talk about from up there is we're now going to start seeing the real intergalactic ships coming in.
Oh, well, that'd be fascinating to talk about. Yes,
Yeah,
because
yeah. So
I don't
let's
have
have him on a little
any.
hook there. Let's have him on a little hook
Okay,
there.
yeah. All right, let's make that the next conversation, and you can tell us all about that. Okay, fantastic. So, Gary, thank you very much for sharing your wisdom with us and sharing your time with us. I really appreciate
Pleasure, Gordon. Pleasure. Thank you very
with me.
much.
Yeah, and we'll see one another again soon. Yeah.
Yeah, we will. We will. Thank you very much. And blessings to your audience and mine. Thank you very much.
Bye
Love,
bye,
light, and
everyone.
blessings. Bye, everyone.